Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is the Intelligent Apple Insider podcast, which this week is sponsored by the Intelligent 1Password. And I'm joined by I was making a crack about how Apple is wedging in the word intelligent into everything, especially in the event with the Apple Watch, which isn't having Apple Intelligence. They're putting it in anyway. But actually, it occurs to me now, Wes Hilliard, surely I can introduce you as an intelligent, can't I? Yeah?
Oh, terrible.
I was quite pleased with that. It just popped into my head. It came out. Perhaps we can just move on then. At this precise moment, if you hear this podcast the second it comes out, there's a little chance that the Apple Store is already down. And it's certain that later today it'll go down and then it'll come back up, and everybody will be very frustrated because it will come up in different times for everybody. It's never on the time Apple says, but it can vary by minutes, and people will be out there frustrated trying to get through. But lucky few will get in, will order straight away whatever they want. And then the rest of us have to wait a little bit. Unless you are, in fact, Wes Hilliard, in which case none of this matters to you. You're already set. Wes, you've got your iPhone upgrade program sorted, haven't you?
Yes. Turns out Apple has a time limit on that this year. As we record on Thursday, 9 p.m. Pacific, you would not be able to pre-order anymore or pre-prepare anymore. I think used to, you could go in up to the hour and just fill out the little forms and be ready to go. So I think Apple's trying to curtail the last minutes people and maybe reward the ones that get ready ahead of time. So I did that on Monday pretty much right after the event, and I've been ready to go all week. Already ordered my Apple Watch. I'm glad they did that, so you could pre-order on Monday, and I get mine on release day, the Titanium Series 10 in black. That's going to be really nice. And then yes, and that means all I have to do tomorrow morning or Friday morning is order my phone and I'm done.
Right. So even though you're going to the iPhone upgrade program, you still have to go through the pre-order stage tomorrow. It doesn't roll out to you through some separate process.
But it's like 3 buttons you click. You go to the store, you hit your pre-configured order, you hit complete. I think you have to accept an agreement, and then it says, and then it cycles, and then you're done. So it's really, really fast, especially if you've pre-configured. And I've already chosen the 16 Pro Max, and I don't know what they're calling it anymore. Black titanium, I suppose, and the 1 terabyte option. So my payments actually stayed identical year over year.
Right, 3 whole buttons, though. God, it's just, what are they playing at? I mean, it's like animals. You should be able to just go, anyway.
Buy 2 buttons, get 1 free.
Okay. I can't remember. Is 1 terabyte the top range? Or do the iPhones go to 2 terabytes this year?
No, I think it's 1 in the iPhone, 2 in the iPad.
That's what I'm thinking of. Right. So you've maxed out in every sense of the word. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's 74 and change per month for that particular model. Yes. At the lower end, it's closer to $35 if you just get the entry level iPhone. So that's the range you're working in. And honestly, a $40 difference can make or break some people. I understand that, but it's not that big a difference overall between the lowest iPhone and the biggest iPhone on the upgrade program. It's kind of impressive. And you get Apple Care Plus and everything else with it. So I always recommend people, don't balk at the prices so much. Look at the monthlies, and if you can afford it, go for it. But I know there are many people out there where asking to pay $10 a month for Apple Music can be a bit of a stretch. So throwing in a $35 iPhone plan isn't exactly easy.
No. I like to say that my problem with the iPhone upgrade program is that I would prefer to keep my old iPhone around as a spare, because once I had a big problem, and having last year's one available to go straight away was a big saving for me, a big time saving, a big problem saver. But the truth is, do you know that the iPhone upgrade program is actually subtly different all around the world? It started in America, so you have the kind of pure original. Do you know how the rest of us suffer?
No idea, but all I know is that the upgrade program's kind of a lie in itself, because it's not really an upgrade program. It's almost identical to the subsidized plans that carriers offer. you can choose just to keep paying until the phone's paid off. There's no upgrade required. Or if you really wanted to, you could just have 2 upgrade programs going at the same time and just keep your old iPhone 15 pay. And I would continue paying it till next year and get the lease on the new model. So like there's nothing in it that says you have to upgrade or you're required to. It's just basically a fancy way of saying you're getting a at cost loan. There's no interest for 2 years, and you can choose to end that loan with no penalty at 1 year and start a new loan for the next iPhone, right? As long as you return the old model after 1 year of payments, basically. So you pay half of it off, give them the old model, and then you're allowed to start the new upgrade process again with a new contract. So they have to check your credit score every year. You have to apply every year. And I suppose that's a danger. Some people might not get approved. It's not a guarantee that even if you have the current iPhone even if you have the current iPhone upgrade program, that you're not guaranteed to get the next iPhone upgrade program. It's kind of interesting, but that's just how they do it.
Everything you've just said applies everywhere, as far as I know. Most of the differences are that Apple partners with a local finance company, and they have subtle differences. So in the UK, I think it's Barclays, and terms and conditions is just fractionally different. But in the UK as well, there is also this: you cannot join the iPhone upgrade program online. You have to physically go into a store. So several years ago, I went into a store. Cruel. It is. And they looked at me and the way I dressed, and they thought, you can't afford this. No. And they wouldn't let me on the program. So, yeah, fine. Let them be like that. You're supposed to do something encouraging now. Yeah.
Were you wearing kind of like an Ebenezer Scrooge style, like knit cap and pajama pants? Or
Oh, I was full on British writer. You know, the jacket with the leather patches, all of that
course.
stuff. Pencil behind the ear, I think, even. I mean, Apple Pencil, obviously, but yeah. Okay. So I'm genuinely
You had a little
torn.
sack tied to a stick, and you were carrying it just in case you needed a meal on the way.
Okay, you're going slightly too far there, but all right. So I have genuine reasons to be uncertain of whether I want the iPhone program, and truly they wouldn't let me on for whatever reason all those years ago. Quite worrying at the time. I rushed home and checked my credit score, and everything seemed okay. So I don't know what happened, but
So we're of course excited for upgrades, and I want to hear from everyone what you ordered. You know, as the show comes out, everyone will have ordered their phones and watches by now. Maybe you're getting some new AirPods, but I think we should get into the event itself.
Yeah, but no, not quite, because you told me something I didn't know, which was basically you're going to get your new iPhone at the same time as everybody else does on September the 20th. But that means that you're going to get the watch and the phone all together at the same time. Is that not too much goodies for one day?
There's never such thing as too much, especially on Apple Day.
Fair.
Like it's kind of a little Christmas for us. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
We'll get into it as we talk about the event, but for me, this feels like a light year as far as, I mean, this is like go back in time a little bit, and Apple announcing just a watch and a phone.
Yeah.
And maybe a set of AirPods compared to, I don't know, I think last year it was the iPhone, Apple Watch Ultra, AirPods Pro 2, no, that was spring. But iPad Mini was a couple of years ago. Like, it's just these iPhone events can be packed with a lot of different things. And this year we kind of just went with the bare minimum, less than the minimum, because even the Ultra wasn't upgraded. So I just find it interesting that this is kind of a smaller year.
One thing to say about that is this week's AppleInsider Plus is about not specifically the news of the event, but I suppose the flavour of it and how the event compared to it, the reactions we've been hearing from other people and things. AppleInsider Plus is the ad-free extended version of the podcast, which you can get by subscribing via Apple Podcasts or through Patreon, and we'd love to have you either way. But if you are a subscriber, that comes at the end. So thinking actually of what they launched then, I thought we would come away thinking we already knew everything before it was announced. We'd heard so many rumours. But I was wrong. We did not know the correct name for the capture button, for example. Was there anything else you didn't know?
See, camera control is so awkward because now it's camera
Yeah.
control button. So there's 3 words really to it. You can't just call it. I know Apple really likes their verb names and they really want to call it the camera control, but that just sounds wrong. Maybe we'll get used to it because it's action button, right? But then again, it's not Face ID scanner, right? So maybe we'll get used to the Now name and it'll just become camera control.
We will. Like, up to the minute they announced Apple Intelligence, I mean, only people were crossing their fingers saying, don't call it Apple Intelligence, please don't call it. And now you don't think about it. In fact, I remember when the MacBook was announced and the glorious name of the PowerBook was retired forever. I thought, what an ugly portmanteau word. And now I crave a new MacBook twice a year. So we get used to these things. Yes.
I do want to say that I was correct. There was no Apple Watch Ultra 3. It wasn't going to happen this year. Totally got that right. We got an Apple Watch Ultra 2 with a shiny new black color. And I know everyone, I said I would buy the Ultra when it came in black. But now it's a generation behind. And this new
Yes.
Apple Watch Series 10 is running a better processor and has a larger display than the Apple Watch Ultra. We'll get into that. But as far as
I had forgotten you said that. You would have gotten away with it if it weren't for yourself. There. Yeah, so basically we can't trust a single thing you tell us about new things.
it has to at least still be new. I'm not going to buy the year-old model just for a color. But we'll get into that with the AirPods Max as well. But I think the interesting thing here is we knew a lot. We had an idea that the Apple Watch displays would be bigger while making the body smaller. We knew about Desert Titanium and the iPhone. I'm not sure that we knew that they were going to go with the sandblasted look on the titanium. I really like that.
No. Yeah, that does look good.
But I wonder if that'll feel textured at all. That would be nice. But overall, pretty good year. I think the biggest thing we didn't know, and we'll never know, is colors. So vibrant on the iPhone 16. But otherwise, pretty straightforward year as far as iPhone releases go. We did not know about visual intelligence. They kept that one under wraps completely.
Yeah, except I have a problem with visual intelligence. I mean, actually, loads of questions about it. The problem first. Apple has been showing off things like this for quite a while, like the ability to ID a plant. And I think for a time that was only in the US because my wife actually had to buy an app in the UK in order to do it.
Right.
And I've managed to pull it off with something in the photograph, but not consistently. So this identification, not you going online to check things, that was already there. But now apparently you can do it with dogs as well. So...
Well, we can get into it. Let's we're bouncing around a little bit here at the start.
Yeah.
Let's go through the event. And we don't have to go in event order. I kind of organized our list by kind of importance or directness. So let's talk about first off
with the phone. The phone's the one to start with. Is that where you think as well? No?
Yes, but before we get to that, what did you think of the opening video that we got this year?
Not as moving as some videos, but still kind of lifting, quite heartening, I thought.
This will sound weird. It felt more like an advertisement than usual. Like that's a commercial Apple would run, whereas normally the pre-event videos are more of a storytelling moment, almost because they never really use those as ads because they're long and they don't get the point across directly, so they don't really work as ads. This one kind of works as an ad, and that was the biggest difference for me.
I did not realize this until you said that, but they actually put on screen so-and-so used this iPhone or whatever for it, whereas normally there's an iPhone in there or something, but they pointedly do not single it out. And I think that's one of the artistically good things about them, but also commercially confident things, that they can just show it in action and trust that we will get it from the Apple logo at the end. Here, yes, you're right. They didn't exactly include a price, but it was heading towards that way. Good point. I wonder if that's what just slightly pulled it back for me as well.
We can get into that in Apple Insider Plus because there's a lot about this presentation I think that differs from other Apple events that makes this feel a little bit more droll than Apple's usual Apple events. But that's all I'll say here.
Okay.
iPhone 16. What do you think? Where are we at here? What do we got?
Well, I'm actually quite impressed. Every year I go through this thing of, if I'm going to buy a phone, should it actually be one of the regular models or the Pro? And it's going. If I do it this year, it'll be a Pro. But for a while there, I was thinking, this is actually rather nice as a regular iPhone. I think I'm actually really very taken with the camera control feature, and that sways me a lot. But I do also like the colours, and I like the whole thing. I mean, I don't think I'm going to buy an Apple Vision Pro, but to be able to take photographs that I will later use in them, I can see me taking some with an eye to the future. You went Pro straight away, so are you not impressed with the regular model?
It's not that. Obviously, if this was the only choice, I think it'd be an excellent one. There's just enough on the Pro that I care about that I want it more. I could live with an iPhone 16, I think. Like, it's still running iOS. It's still a powerful processor. It gets Apple Intelligence, 48 megapixel main camera. You have the nice, now, for the first time, I don't know that many people are talking about it, but the ultra wide has autofocus, which allows it to do macro, which was always a Pro feature till now. So even that has come to the standard iPhone. I could really, a lot of my workflows and a lot of my photography and a lot of stuff could come to the iPhone 16 pretty easily. And I like that. The battery life is a lot better. We get Wi-Fi 7, vibrant, bright colors. I really like that ultramarine. Everyone's talking about it. And then we get the hardware accelerated ray tracing for video games. Just a lot of good features here. I think what surprised me the most, I think, was the inclusion of the capture button or the camera control on every model, including the standard iPhones. And I think that's excellent. That's a good move by Apple, because everyone buys an iPhone for the camera. It shouldn't be a Pro feature.
I'm half embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to. I have a problem with the cameras on iPhones in that I really don't understand the different lenses, the options for it. I point at something and I press the button. If it isn't clear, then I'll fiddle with the focus, yes. And if it's too far away, well, I suppose I'll zoom, but usually I'll just walk over to it and take the photograph. So things like the 48 megapixels thing, but you can have a 24 megapixel version of the shot. How you choose that when you would... honestly, it throws me. So maybe we should have some sort of AppleInsider guide to what William should be doing with his camera. I'm wondering who to ask to write that.
What you're doing is fine. Zooming with your feet's always better than zooming with your lens. Definitely one of the and I know there's people out there listening. There's no zoom on iPhone. You're just changing to different focal points. I get it. People always get upset when we say zoom when we mean just switching cameras, because there is the 5x telephoto on the Pro models, and there's only the standard modes. Now there is a 2x camera on this, but that's because it's cropping into the sensor on the main camera, and then you default to a 12 megapixel photo, which are fine. 12 megapixels is what we've had since the iPhone 6 with the with 4K video. It's an excellent range to shoot at. All pixels really mean is how big the image can be when you blow it up. 12 megapixels, you're going to start seeing a little bit of the edge, a little bit of the pixelation. It's going to stop looking like a good looking photo the bigger it gets. The good thing is, though, you can edit around that. That's why Apple's Shot on iPhone campaign has been able to go on billboards despite being on phones pre 12 megapixels. Photos are just weird that way. But as far as we're concerned, like, once you get to 12 megapixels, it'll fit comfortably on a 4K television without without llooking zoomed in, basically, without looking blown up. 48 megapixels basically multiplies that by 4x because it's 2x on both sides. So you can blow it up much larger. You're getting towards poster board, billboard size of just without blowing up the pixels. Again, editing allows you to get around that. How Apple produces those billboards is very interesting. Most of them are actually painted on by people. Some of them are the weird photocopy, like 3D roller kind of thing. It's fascinating. But at the end of the day, they produce beautiful photos, point and shoot. You William, are doing it right. Honestly, the Pro people that need to know all that stuff are going to use it and make some glorious photos with it. But normal, everyday people being able to just point, shoot, and take good pictures, that's the whole point. That's the whole reason it's there.
I've actually seen little documentaries about people painting billboards, and it just never occurred to me that Apple would do the same thing. Of course, They would. But totally different, completely stepping away from that. You mentioned something else there that actually I missed during the event. You said Wi-Fi 7 is in the iPhone 16. Is that actually any use at the moment?
Well, it's useful to me because there was also an important announcement this week. Sony PlayStation 5 Pro is coming. So just like the iPhone 15 Pro, it has more cameras. I'm joking.
Okay.
But
Remember, I've never even seen this device, so I just believed every word you said there. But okay. Right.
But it also comes with Wi-Fi 7. So now I'm suddenly 2 devices in with Wi-Fi. I need to replace my routers. I'm going to redo my whole entire home network around this. No, Wi-Fi 7 is excellent for a lot of things because it's not just the range of reach and power and download speeds. The routers that you buy with this feature are also going to be jam-packed with technologies for modern use, like Matter in the smart home, slower devices. It's going to account for a lot more modern-day uses versus this Linksys router, which is excellent, but I believe it's been the same router for several years now, and it's not aware of a lot of the modern technologies going on. So Wi-Fi 7 by itself just gets you better connections without drops, further distances. It's a stronger radio. Just there's a lot of little things there. It increases your base download speed. Lots of stuff. I don't have the exact specs in front of me, but it's beneficial for most people. They're never going to notice for another 5-6 years until they need a new router.
I don't know why that leads me to this. Thinking of new features in the iPhone 16, am I right that you take more still photographs than video?
By far, yes. I do video very rarely, but when I do, it's very intentional. Right. I've played with these new modes, and again with the excellent like slow motion. We'll get to the pros in a moment, but there's a lot of good stuff in Apple Video right now that I'm really tempted to try, and I've been over the years increasing the amount of video I take just because iPhone is such a good video camera. Right. But I definitely specialize in still photography. I shoot primarily at the what is it? The 1.5, I believe. It's It's 1.0, 1.3, and 1.5. I think are the 3 ranges. And
wait a minute, you're not a 0.5 kid. No, hang on, a 0.5 kid. That's what the cool kids are doing. The 0.5ers. I'm not making this up. I've just got the term wrong. But okay.
No, you're right. 0.5 photos, they're very popular for the fact that they're very memeable. You can make people's foreheads gigantic. But I default to the 1.5x lens. So I prefer portraiture. I do take some landscape photos, but I also enjoy macro a lot. I like getting close to things and seeing what they look like.
Yeah, me too. I love macro stuff, but generally then I'm more of a video guy than you. I shoot one YouTube video more or less a week or so. But the thing with mine is the only kind of dialogue in it is me yapping to camera. And something I think I'd like to try on the iPhone 16 is this new audio mix they've done where you post-production, it seems, just like the way you can do focus changing, that you can do audio changing and bring up someone else's dialogue and switch between them. I'm fascinated to see how that works, and I think it's all tied down to whatever alchemy there is that, so in Logic Pro, the way you can remove vocals to strip out music sounds, this feels like it's the same technology, and in the Pro versions of the iPhone there's I think the same tools in the voice memos example they gave. But I'm terribly interested to try this. I just need someone else to talk to.
Yeah. They're packed with microphones, so there's so many microphones that they can pick each sound and focus on that sound with each microphone and kind of separate them physically, allowing the recording to be moved. But like I can see the studio level recording being great for voiceovers. I recorded a home I was looking at to purchase. I walked through with a video and was describing the rooms and what we could do to different areas, and that would be a perfect example of just focus on the voice. That way there's no echo, there's no background, nothing like that. I feel like even though these feel like pro features, there's going to be use cases for everyone here. But iPhone 16. I think what we'll get to the pros because honestly, there's not that much here. Faster, they got the A18 processor, the 48 megapixel fusion camera, which I think they're calling it that just because it's the combined with the ISP of the A18, they're getting better at that. I forget the name of it every time. It's the photo mode. People called sweater mode at one point. But it's getting really good at that vertical stack of images where it's taking 12 pictures and combining them into one excellent photo. And because of that, that fusion name is coming in. But lot of good features here. The spatial video recording for Apple Vision Pro is great. Funny enough, that one tidbit, still 1080p, still 30 frames per second.
Really? I missed that too. Oh. Okay. Well, actually, I tell you, I mean, who needs to know? Here's some inside information that's only secret because nobody could possibly care. During the night of an Apple event, and everybody on AppleInsider is working on it, you get assigned a certain piece to do. And as it happens, I got to write about the iPhone 16. But that meant while Apple was going on about the iPhone 16 Pro, I totally missed it because I was writing still about the 16 things. I've actually just made a hand gesture of fast typing for it. So on the night, I didn't see about the 16 Pro, which is the one I'm tempted to buy. I kind of had to catch up. And I found when I was catching it up, I was kind of skipping through it to find out what was new. And they didn't feel like an amazing amount, except I quite like the Desert Titanium colour. Well, what's actually new in the 16 Pro compared to the 16?
Well, before we get to that, let's start with what's similar. Let's talk about camera control because it's the same across both systems.
Well, that was my assumption that everything in the 16 is in the 16 Pro. Is that too crude an assumption?
So everything in the 16 is in the Pro, and the Pro gets some extras on top.
Right. Okay. Good. Okay. So. The similar stuff. I mean, I rewatched all the camera control stuff because I knew that'd be on the Pro things as well. So that's all set. I didn't finish saying actually my problems with. Yeah, do you have a minute for my problem with camera control? It's just a sidestep.
No, we're doing camera control now, so let's go into it.
Okay, yeah. I tell you what, let's make this a chapter on everything, so it's official. I haven't just wandered back in my head. This is always planned here. My problem is there was that great example of that you can look at a building or something, and it will be you'll see the details for it. The one where you look at a theatre poster and it puts all the details in your calendar, that is just crazy brilliant. I'm astounded that exists in the world, and I love it, and I will use it so much. But the one where you look at a restaurant, where does that information go? The example was, here's a guy, looks at a restaurant, there are all the details in the menu, and he wanders off happily. Where is it saved? So that I can look at it again when I'm hungry. Later on, have I got to go back to the building? Or is it all added to my contacts list? Because I pass a lot of restaurants. I'm never going to go in. So I want to know, do you understand more about this than I do?
So William's describing visual intelligence. This is a specific feature attached to the capture button, or the camera control, which I believe is maybe exclusive to the Pro models, or is that coming to every model? That's something I kind of missed. I believe this is
I think so, but I'm not sure either. Don't you find all of this stuff with Apple Intelligence is quite confusing because it is, rather than this separate thing you use, it's seeped into everything, and it's coming out in stages. So knowing where everything is, I think,
it's exclusive to the iPhone 16 lineup. So all the iPhones can do visual intelligence. So
cool, good.
So this is a step. So camera control, we'll get to that in a second. That's specific for taking photos. But visual intelligence, you press and hold on the camera control button, and it launches into a viewfinder. Now, in this viewfinder, you'll find a unique set of UI options because it'll just be a clear camera feed, and then in the bottom corner is kind of like on the lock screen. One button takes you to ChatGPT, the other button takes you to Google Search, which implies perhaps Gemini. So GPT search will kind of, one example was, what is this math or something I'm looking at, and it helped. It put GPT through the problem, whereas Google Search was better for like a concert poster. But at the end of the day, what is happening here is this is basically the Google Lens functionality being brought front and center to iPhone. None of this is actually new. You've been able to do all of this. Apple's using something called data detectors, which existed for a very long time. Like if you're on a web page and there is a date and it's highlighted blue, you can click on it and it will add to your calendar. It's doing the same thing here. It's just being integrated into Apple Intelligence a little more specifically. They're probably getting better at detecting dates. There's a reason why this is an Apple Intelligence feature. But overall, it's just like the poster. I don't think it's looking up the concert information because, again, Apple Intelligence is local to your device. What it's doing is it sees that it's a concert poster, it understands that. So it takes the title, adds that to the title field, takes the date, adds that to the date field, and then if there's a QR code, it'll add the URL to the URL field. And that's what it's doing there. It is intelligent and it is a smart way of doing it, but it is actually below the surface not that complex, and it's something your phone's been able to do technically for a while. Third-party apps, people have figured out how to do similar text detection and data detection.
This is why magicians never tell their secrets. I was so impressed, and now I'm thinking, no, I knew about data detectors. I'm used to it in emails and things when invitations come through. But yeah, that old stuff with a nice thing, I'm boring. Yeah.
There's also something on iPhone that's been there for years now called visual. What is it called? It's the thing. So if you're ever in a photo and you see the sparkly glittery stuff on the eye, the info button, that means there is a visual search thing available there. You tap it, it opens, and it will tell you what breed of dog, what kind of bug, what kind of plant. If you're in a location that the geolocation understands and the inference from the photo understands, it will tell you about that monument or that city, town, whatever. Or in this case, you said restaurant. Well, the restaurant, it's all on-device data, but part of your on-device data is geolocation. It knows physically where you are. It has access to Apple Maps data. This is where Apple Intelligence gets a little more fuzzy. Apple Intelligence is on device, but your device is also connected to the internet. Now, Apple Intelligence isn't going online, but all that information is locally saved. So knowing where you are, what restaurant could be near you, and seeing the name of that restaurant in that physical location, it gives it everything it needs. And it can basically do a simple web search and pull, just like using the summary feature in Safari, pull the menu or phone number or address book for that place. And you're asking, where does all this go? Well, there is a new locations feature in Maps where you have a locations library. And so when you probably view a location through visual intelligence, you can probably add it directly to your locations library in Apple Maps.
Oh, I did not know that. That's really good. You just put back in my head, though, that it's unrelated. Previously on the AppleInsider podcast, I have complained quite a bit that if I get into the car and I ask, let's say, call her Iris. I ask Iris to take me to my mom's using Apple Maps, and it will do it. It'll bring up the maps, but it will say, at the same time, it will say, you don't appear to have an app called Maps in your life. It's right there.
Oh, goodness.
That's gone. That is fixed.
Yes.
But if I just say, take me to my mom's, it goes, I can't remember the phrasing, but I have no thin clue who you mean. So, okay, somewhere along the line, it's reset all the relationship stuff. So I said, Iris, my mother's is this. And it went, well, thanks, but I already knew that. It actually used those words. So, calmness. A location thing. I'll just go to recent locations then and find her that way.
Make sure your mom has a nickname field and add mom to the nickname field, or mum, or mother, however you say it.
I should explain for British listeners, mom is, in Britain, we tend to think that mom is an Americanism, but actually I'm in Birmingham in England and an Irish background, so Birmingham Irish, it is mom as well. But it's weird how I have had people get very upset with my not saying mum. Also, it's very hard to buy a birthday card with mom in the UK. Really hard.
Oh, that's funny.
I've got to tell you that. But anyway, locations getting better in Maps. I like this. I want this.
Yes. So focusing in, we're still on the capture control, visual intelligence. One last thing, I did notice there's a lot of memes going around. I don't know if you saw this part of the internet, but people were making very much fun of the scene in the visual intelligence sequence of a person taking a photo of a dog using visual intelligence to find out the dog breed. And everyone says, why don't you just ask the dog walker what the breed of the dog is? Now, here's the thing. Two things. One, if you watch the thing, he does talk to the dog walker. He's not audible.
Permission. Yeah.
Because
That's what it
there
looks
is
like. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a voiceover, so he's not audible, but he does speak to the dog walker. So he's not a psychopath sneaking up on people taking photos of their dogs. And second of all, not all dog owners know everything about their dog breed. Like they'll just be like, well, I've had people tell me that their dog is like some combination of 17 things, and it turns out they're just a husky, right? Like, or the shepherd herding dog. I had a mutt that was just this yellow thing that could have been anything on the planet. Apple's visual search never could figure that out.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's just fun. Maybe this person wanted to have a dog like it and added it to its visual intelligence library by seeing like what it is, like, oh, this is great, save it for later, open it in Safari, whatever. There's any number of reasons you could do this. Even though the person will directly tell you it's actually this dog, it's still not that weird to be like, oh, this is cute, can I take a photo? It happens all the time. People like photos of dogs, and adding that extra visual intelligence flavor to it may be a little odd to us who aren't used to it, but I really find those data detectors for this kind of stuff very interesting. I find myself taking pictures of flowers and bugs and bees and things like that just to see what it'll tell me.
This episode is brought to you by 1Password. Actually, pretty much everything I do is brought for me by 1Password because it's where I store, passwords, but also credit card numbers, software licenses, my highly secret document listing, my ever-expanding clothing sizes, everything. But while it's easily my choice for personal use, 1Password also works for families, teams, and now it has 1Password Extended Access Management that brings all of this functionality, all of this security to companies, and specifically in order to solve the problem that puts your firm's entire security at risk. Unmanaged devices, shadow IT apps. Your staff use their own devices, and they use them for good reasons. I'm not saying they don't. Plus, they use apps that they're helpful for them as an individual trying to get their work done, but to the company, they are a huge security vulnerability. Plus, if you need to use contractors, that's a whole extra layer of security risk, because of course, they're not using your devices, but of course, they also need access to your network. 1Password Extended Access Management is the first security solution to all of this. It makes sure that every user credential is strong and is protected. It makes sure that every device is known and healthy, and it means that every app is visible. 1Password Extended Access Management. It's like MDM, but without the traditional limitations. 1Password Extended Access Management is security for the way companies need to work today. Right now, it's generally available to companies with Okta and Microsoft Entra. It's in beta for Google Workspace. Check it out yourself, please, at onepassword.com/AppleInsider podcast. So that's 1Password, the digit 1 and the word password, .com/AppleInsider podcast, or one word, Apple Insider podcast. And thanks to 1Password for supporting the Apple Insider podcast. Last night I paid for something on my Apple Watch, and the person who was taking the money went, "Oh, get you, modern technology, eh?" I think it's 10 years old that I've been able to do that. So we get used to things by using them, but they'll still look odd to others. But if you have excused the dog guy and explained that he's not someone to run away from, I'm going to come back to this point when we talk about AirPods, because I have a problem with AirPods in a similar kind of way. But still, I pressed you too much on the camera control button. I didn't really realize till I said it to you that I'm hooked on that. That's probably the reason I'm going to buy. Other advantages to the Pro, and I will accept great colors.
Well, we still haven't talked about camera control in all this time. Just real quick, camera control, what it actually is, because all we talked about was visual intelligence.
That's true. That's obviously the
Yeah,
bit I like. But yeah, the photography side. Yes.
yeah.
Carry on.
So you want the camera control for visual intelligence or for photography? I'm a little
Looks
confused here.
like. Oh, it sounds like I'm addicted to the visual intelligence style, but I do have a secret plan for a thing I'm going to film with a zoom using it.
Nice.
That's secret.
So,
I'll be able to zoom though. That's what you're telling me.
well, you've always been able to dial in to the digital zoom on the lenses using a slider on screen, but now that slider is moved to a physical control on the side of the phone. There's different interaction methods. You can tap to summon the menu to start swiping. The first tap is your, like you said, your zoom. I know people again are cringing out there. It's digital zoom. I get it. And then you're swapping lenses between focal lengths. Second, if you double tap, you open a menu for precise control over, are you in portrait mode or are you in this mode? Can you set this setting? Whatever. A press and hold will start recording video, and a firm press down will take a photo. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. The one thing that did not happen, we did not get the half press to focus and full press to shoot, and we did not get the focus control, so we don't have a variable aperture. So neither of those things happened here, but I think still there's plenty of great control options in this button. You have touch, force touch, and capacitive touch all in one button.
What do you think about the position of it?
Fine. This is the natural place to put a camera button. Sony's been doing it for years. The Sony Xperia line has a physical button. It's not this fancy, but it does. They do have a shutter control and I believe camera launcher button on the side of the phone. Same identical location. It makes sense. It's just when you're holding your phone on the side, camera's on the top corner of the phone. That is where a camera shutter button should be by design.
If you're taking photographs in landscape, which you should, then I think it's perfectly positioned. But they did show some people maniacs shooting portrait, and in that case, it felt like your thumb had to be in quite an odd place. And I think I was expecting it to be up by the action button. I don't know why.
Well, so you still have the option of controlling the shutter with the volume buttons, I believe. But see, now you're thinking of it funny, because if I have my phone in hand right now, and when I'm holding my phone one way, my thumb is where the capture control, or I keep doing this, camera control. My thumb is where the camera control is. The only way I can take it with the volume buttons, if I shift the phone all the way down in my hand with my index finger on the volume button and my thumb on the power button, which how many times have you or anyone listening tried taking a photo with the volume button and your thumb accidentally hits the power button and you just shut the whole thing off?
Yes.
When you and up there too, your index finger, if you're using maybe your middle finger to control the volume, your index finger can get in front of the lenses very easily. So you slide your hand down to where you're gripping it from the bottom as if you're going to scroll Twitter or something. You move your thumb to the side of the phone and it naturally rests there. Your index finger is now supporting the back of the phone. Your other three fingers are on the left side of the phone. It's a very natural position, and you can lift and press and swipe with your thumb there very easily. Anyone who doesn't have this phone, go ahead and do it. Your SIM tray is right there. So you actually have a physical indicator there if you have your case off. Just rub your thumb over that SIM tray, holding it in portrait. It's actually quite straightforward. It's not an awkward position at all.
You know I'm doing this. Okay. I think I was holding it a different way to you, but okay. Right.
Maybe I just have incredibly long fingers. I don't know.
Well, you've obviously been trained on an iPhone 16 Pro Max. You know, your reach is obviously bigger than mine with my Paltry Pro. But okay.
You know that scene in Everything Everywhere All at Once where the muscle and they flex their finger and it has a finger muscle? That's my pinky from holding an iPhone Pro Max in my hand.
Do you remember that thing in Deep Space Nine when Odo stretches his hand out? Sorry. Okay, there are cultural references for this, plenty.
Go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, William, if you haven't. My goodness. No. in any case, that's it for the capture. I did it again. Camera control. So there's plenty to get into there. I'm excited to try it on my phone, but we do have a rest of the phone to talk about finally. So let's get into the iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Okay, tetraprism lens on both models. I'm stuck. What else is there that's new? Apple would be so ashamed.
Embiggening continues.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm seriously concerned about that size thing because I fancy a bigger one this year. I don't know why, but they've taken my desire and they've made it bigger. You see, I can make up words as well. And I don't know if
is a word. Embiggen is 100% a word. It's a dumb word, but it is a word.
Right. I mean,
embiggening, not
Simpsons. So much. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm striking out in a new thing. You heard it here first and possibly last. Biggerer. It is.
There
Bigly. Okay. Is it too big? Is it... one of the reasons I fancy it is it feels like it's a little iPad, that size. So...
I will carry an iPad mini with cellular and use it as a phone. I don't care. That's what AirPods are for. I'm not going to hold the thing up to my face. That looks ridiculous.
I have noticed that over the years, I think people have forgotten how to use phones because the number of people who you walk by holding the phone to their ear is, well, it's zero. Now, it's always
they hold it in front of their mouth. Ugh.
Well, they've always... I mean, it's an extra step to turn on speaker, but they all do it. And this means we get to hear both sides of the conversation. Thanks enormously for that. But yeah,
William, here's how I live my life. On the occasional moment my phone rings and it's a phone call, my phone is in my pocket. What do? I do not reach for my phone. I look at my watch. Oh, who is it? Oh, this is someone I want to talk to. Attached to my... So I actually loop where you pull your belt through and then you tighten and then you tuck your belt into that little extra loop on the other side, right, to put it away. Before I do that, I loop a small thing through the... I don't have words today. On the AirPods Pro case, there's a lanyard. There we go. A lanyard loop. So I loop that through and then stick my AirPods in my pocket so that they don't sink all the way to the bottom. I just grab that lanyard loop. It just fishes the AirPods out of my pocket. I pop an AirPod into my ear, press the answer call button, and now I am talking on the phone like a civilized human being. I never touched my phone. I never even touched my watch. And I can get an AirPod in my ear in about 4 seconds. You'll get 2 rings in, and I'm already on my AirPods talking. And everyone should be going this route. Just don't even answer your phone anymore. Answer it like AirPods are so convenient. We will get to AirPods in a second. But the size is not an issue. I like that they're getting bigger. I like that the standard phones are a little smaller to give people a little bit of range of options. Even the Plus phone is now smaller than the Pro Max phone, which I think is interesting.
I'm not going to blanket disagree with you about the way to answer phones. I do it differently. My phone tends to be out, so I have occasionally just called over to Iris and said answer on speaker, or quite often place a call on speaker for it, and I find that useful. The reason I won't completely disparage this AirPods nonsense of yours is, I remember actually when the Apple Watch came out, my wife Angela said there is no chance, not one single pixel of a chance, she will ever take a phone call on her Apple Watch. 3 hours later, the phone rang, convenient. And the phone was in the bottom of her bag. She couldn't get to it, so she did. She was walking down a high street in Moseley in the UK, talking on her phone like Dick Tracy, and I think she secretly quite enjoyed it in the end. So yeah, we adapt to things, and I might try, except that means I've got to buy AirPods because one of mine is horribly broken and can't be fixed, and you're just pushing the price up of my orders this year.
Well, I think so. I don't think we need to spend too much time on the Pro phones. They got bigger. We have the tetraprism on both phones now. Capture button on both devices. A18 Pro with the faster processing, better GPU, better neural engine. We have, this is probably the most interesting thing about this phone, 4K 120 frame per second video, which is excellent. I will be absolutely taking advantage of that. You do not understand how often I take video and I'm like, why is it so stuttery.
Really? No, I've not had that problem ever.
It depends.
Well,
It depends on
except
how.
when things have gone wrong. But yeah.
It depends on tracking. It's still video where you're on a tripod looking at
Good
one
point.
single subject. Obviously, you're going to be crystal clear. But if you try to move a centimeter, it's just it breaks down because the refresh rate can't keep up, and then you play back the video and you got a lot of stutter and movement. This I will just film at 4K 120 and use and then downsample to 60, and then bam, now you have this perfectly fluid motion between everything. I think it's going to make video even better on what's already like the best phone for video at this point.
I do film at the highest possible quality because the other day I realised I'd shot half an hour of something, and there was a shirt I'd left in shot. I changed shirts between filming, and you could see the sleeve of it, and it was all you could look at. So I was able to just nudge the screen out a bit because the quality was good enough for it. So I automatically go for the highest quality, even though I need to add some more action to my videos really to make it worth it. But noted. I feel like... Sorry.
We'll break these devices down into greater detail, especially in these upcoming episodes, especially once we have them in hand.
Yeah.
I wanted to say there's one more thing on the Pro Max that is very interesting. I don't think it's coming to the standard 16 line. This is improved MagSafe up to 25 watt charging, and over USB-C, it appears we're going to get 45 watt charging. So both excellent upgrades for charging your iPhone.
I think you say that, and every time there's any improvement, that is a headline news. People are very happy, and so there may be something wrong with me, but I don't care, because I put the phone and the watch on to charge overnight. They're charged when I get up in the morning. That it's fast or shorter doesn't really affect me. So, I tend to wear my watch sometimes at night when I don't want to disturb anyone really with the alarm and things, and then I've got to charge it in the day. So I suppose it makes a difference there.
For people who have screen times for TikTok of about 12 hours a day and screen times for Temu of about 4 hours a day, I would say being able to quickly charge your phone is important, because you do not understand how often my niece will get in my car and say, my battery's at 1%. And it's like 2 p.m. And it's just like, how? Like, did you not charge it last night? No, it was on the charger all night, and it was 100% when I went to school this morning. How, at school especially, did you drain your battery that much? In any case, it's just more battery life better, and more faster charging always better. For me and you, doesn't really affect us. I'm always around 100% myself because I just have chargers everywhere. My phone defaults to a MagSafe charger wherever it lays down at this point. But I think we got to cover a couple other things before the show ends. Apple might have announced something else.
One of them that I'm really keen on is, we started into this a couple of times about AirPods. I really am torn because I miss my AirPods. Basically, I've just got one working little AirPod, the right ear AirPod, left ear, one of those. I don't always look at it. Whichever one it is, one works, one doesn't. Very upsetting. Want to buy new. I'm quite tempted by the fact that noise cancellation has come to the cheaper models. But I said, don't let me out of here without going back to this guy that you have explained is not a psycho. Apple showed this woman going to buy a coffee and not taking her AirPods out while she talked to the vendor. And the thing is, of course, this thing that AirPods will go, oh, you're talking to somebody, I'll lower the volume. That's fine for you. The person you're talking to has not one thin clue. So I think I've said this before. We had a politician come to the door and she was saying, we really want to hear what you say. But she was wearing AirPods. And I'm thinking, and I saw a guy on a date once wearing AirPods. And I looked at the woman he was with, and she looked back. It's like, not going to be a second date for it. So I don't care how Apple does clever stuff for you. It's rude for the rest of the world. And I think you don't agree. Excellent.
Have you ever talked to someone with a hearing aid?
Sure.
Yeah, so they don't take those out when they talk to you, correct?
Right,
but
recognisably, yes, the point, which is, I don't think they're listening to more interesting podcasts than the conversation I'm having at the moment.
But did you know hearing aids in the last few years have been able to listen to podcasts and music?
No, actually, I didn't. Cool.
You can, you can buy Bluetooth enabled. There's a whole feature inside of iPhone for it. Bluetooth connected headphones made for iPhone hearing aids that can also double as Bluetooth headphones. They're quite interesting, and they utilize your hearing health data to help control incoming audio. Sound familiar? Because Apple did announce the hearing test, hearing protection, and hearing aid features coming to AirPods Pro 2 this fall. I think it's really clever because we've spent years with AirPods, and Apple showing conversation awareness was a feature a couple years ago. Apple spent a lot of time working in it's perfectly normal to wear AirPods to talk because there is such a stigma around hearing aids that people just won't get them. It doesn't matter how bad their hearing is, they just refuse because they don't want to be seen as that old person with a hearing aid, even though that is not real. There's so many people, it doesn't matter what your age, you can have hearing loss and need some sort of help here. And that's what's great about AirPods Pro 2 getting this feature. It's moderate to severe hearing loss, not, probably not higher grades of hearing loss. You'll need a very specialized hearing aid, but standard hearing aids can be replaced with AirPods Pro to an extent. We'll see how all this works. We'll have to find someone who needs a hearing aid to try it out. But the feature, I think, itself is brilliant. They've been showing people talking with them in for such a long time that now you can just say, oh, I'm just wearing my AirPods using conversation awareness. It's not a hearing aid, and it removes the stigma entirely, and I think that's awesome.
I have no problem with people wearing hearing aids. I know plenty of people who do. As you can hear, I have a lot of problem with people having AirPods. The fact that those AirPods might be being used as hearing aids, there's no way for me to know that.
Right.
So I think maybe
it's
they can have a
difficult.
little sign. Yeah.
Well, so you don't wear a sign. I think this is one of those social things where humans just need to get over it. Like with Apple Watch, checking your watch socially since the invention of watches has always been a sign of I'm bored, I need to get out of here. And now it could just be I got a text message from my mother, that kind of thing. And it's still kind of a sign because, theoretically, if you're interested enough in what's happening in front of you, even if you get a notification, you can ignore it because you're more interested in the person speaking to you. But maybe there's something important coming in, you can warn them ahead of time. Socially, again, we have to adapt. But AirPods, I think, is that next step. We need to be able to adapt to the fact of we don't know that person's situation. We don't know why they have AirPods in. If they are talking to me, we can only assume that they can hear me talking back. And if they're not responding, then at that point, yes, they are being rude, and we can address them as such. But I think this is one of those social stigmas that's going to have to move forward. Just like in a few years, we're going to see people walking around with some sort of Apple Vision headset glasses in modern society and having conversations with fake eyeballs, including your town police officers.
Oh, I see what you did. Oh, nice there. You threw me the ball there because there is an application now, isn't it? Isn't it Orange County is looking to buy Apple Vision Pro? I mean, you're an Apple Vision Pro, so you understand this better than me. They aren't just going to get it to watch the Star Trek experience or whatever it is that I quite fancy seeing. They have a legitimate, real purpose, which is...
So little segue. So the Orange County, which is a part of LA in California, for those who didn't know, they are working with Apple along with other police precincts, I believe mostly California because it's local. They've been working with Apple and training up to make their surveillance stations run on Apple Vision Pro instead of multiple expensive monitors and computers. They can just do it all on a headset that they wear. This doesn't mean you're going to get pulled over and a cop's going to walk up to you wearing an Apple Vision Pro. Not yet, anyway. Right now, they say they're too heavy for patrol work. But what they want to do is turn these... You've seen them in TV shows. They're very exaggerated. But the modern version of them I've seen, they're very... as basic as you could imagine, basically old Windows monitors stacked on top of each other, held together with tape, and a couple of computers creaking by on Windows 7, maybe Windows 11. And they're receiving information from their police forces. They're receiving maps and photos and data, and they're trying to help position police officers strategically. They're investigating a case, what have you. This surveillance center, this intelligence center, is run by all this hardware, and it can be very expensive. Well, if you put it all into one $3,500 headset, still pricey, but as we know in America, police have a lot of money, they can afford this, and they would be able to use this to help and just lay out all the windows, investigate a scene, look at maps and data. And the officer, I forget what they're called, the guy in charge said that he was very happy with how the demo worked out, and they're going to start training with it and working with Apple on how to make this work for the police force. And funny enough, now we can't, I'm not going to say he's a liar, but we can't really know how true this is, but quote unquote, Apple told me that there will be a lighter one coming soon, or there's a second generation that will be lighter. Because he's interested in using these as for patrollers who walk through a neighborhood, and it could pop up in augmented reality and tell them crime rates in the area or incoming data about ongoing investigations could be seen in the headset. It's all very straight out of sci-fi. This is separate from anyone's opinions on police, so we understand there's a lot of stigma there in America right now, but I think this is a cool application of the technology. It reminds me very much of a video game called Heavy Rain, which I used an image of in the story of a police officer that uses augmented reality to solve crimes.
So when will we see this on CSI, the OC?
Oh, gosh. I can't wait until the day comes that NCIS something, Cupertino, someone's wearing an Apple Vision Pro to do an investigation. Like, that would be hilarious. I can't wait.
But then if they're the good cop, the bad cop comes in and says, enhance it. They're going to have to take off the headset, do the adjustment for another user, put it on. I can see that being quite a slow kind of scene, but okay, that might be my drama view coming out.
So we're running to the end of the episode. We got to cover the iPhones in a little bit of detail. Funny enough, there's still so much to talk about, just the iPhones. But let's do a quick rundown. Apple Watch Series 10, bigger display, thinner. You can now play audio directly from the Apple Watch on your wrist. So get ready for people to be on the subway listening to podcasts and music from their wrist. Making phone calls from their wrist yet again. But I do like they brought back titanium and ditched stainless steel. I love it. Titanium is much...
Wait a second. I mean, I get that you like titanium. We've talked about this before for the iPhone. But are you anti-stainless steel?
I'm wearing a stainless steel watch right now, but they're heavy. Okay. And what's cool is, before, titanium would be in the $1,100 range. And you would have to go way up in price to get it. Now they've just taken the stainless steel position at $799 or $699. I'm sorry, and now you can just order a titanium Apple Watch standard Series 10 in titanium in black, and it be this lightweight material and this huge display. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see it. They got rid of the red ring to denote cellular, which is a nice change. They're better chipset technology, the S10 chipset. Cool. We're just, getting better and better on all these things. Battery life, relatively the same, faster charging. But otherwise, it's an Apple Watch. I'm excited for this guy. Sleep apnea detection was the new health feature. No new health sensors, just using detection based on algorithms on device. And no word of blood oxygen detection.
No. One day it will come. But, actually, you can say the same about sleep apnea, because that isn't going to be here yet either. You can almost hear the frustration in we're still waiting for the FDA kind of thing. But we're sure it will come soon kind of thing. But I'm sure it will. So, yeah.
As we mentioned before, Apple Watch Ultra 2 comes in black now. No Apple Watch Ultra 3. No S10 chip in the Ultra. It's last year's model in a new flashy color at the same price. Fine. AirPods is the remainder of our list. We talked a little bit about it. AirPods Max got a new colorway with USB-C. Nothing else changed. It has the H1 chip in it still, which means none of the new features are in it. I'm expecting the reason this happened is they had a bunch of junk in a warehouse they needed to paint a new color and get rid of. So
and bung a new connector on. Yeah. Nice colors, though. The orange.
I do like the colors. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to buy it. It's the same identical functionality as the ones I'm wearing now, and I like the space gray better than the midnight, so I'm sticking with it. Okay. Yes, it has lightning, but I can survive with that. Right. But finally, we talked about hearing health already. It's going to do a hearing test built into the OS. You can wear it for hearing protection, for noisy, maybe you're walking by construction, maybe you're going to a concert. You can wear AirPods to protect your ears at a loud concert. I've seen people do it. Finally, all that hearing stuff's exclusive to AirPods Pro 2. AirPods 4 is not getting it despite having the H2 chip. I believe it has something to do with the sealing the ear with the inserts. So finally, AirPods 4, there are two models, a low-end model and a high-end model, and they replace the existing AirPods 2 and AirPods 3 at those price points. Anything from you, William?
No, only that I don't know why I was so pleased about this, that the higher price AirPods 4, the case has a speaker on it, because I did lose my AirPods once for several months, and they turned out to be within a metre of where I was sitting almost every day. So that would have been quite handy for it. I like that. Yeah.
The delineation between models is so much better this time around. 129 gets you AirPods. They do the AirPods thing with the switching and the connecting, and Apple's audio with the H2 chip. They do the Apple Vision Pro H2 to H2 connection for lossless streaming and all of that stuff. Everyone gets that as long as you have an H2 chip. So in the newer devices, so great. Second, the charging case only charges over Qi. No, it's not even that. The 129 model is just USB-C. You get no wireless charging, no nothing other than the USB-C port. And when you use Find My, it's for Bluetooth only, no speaker grill, no U1 chip. The 179 model adds in ANC, even though there's no ear tips, which also gets you transparency mode, and it gets you conversation awareness, and it gets you a MagSafe charging case with Find My and a speaker, but no U1 finding, no precision finding. That is preserved for AirPods Pro, which is still $249, I believe, or maybe $229, I can't remember. And that one is the whole shebang, every feature. I like this lineup.
Curiously enough, just out of interest, AirPods Pro 2 is $249 and £229. So you had both the numbers right there. Correct. Okay. Weirdly, that's one of the very few things where it isn't pound to dollar equivalent for it this year. So don't know why. But okay, I think that covers everything, at least as much as we can so far. So it leaves the big question. If someone wants to get in touch with you, perhaps via your lanyarded AirPods, what's the best way for them to reach you at the moment?
You can find me on Mastodon. That's really the only place I'm active these days. But you can always email me, of course. William and I's emails will be at the top of any story we write on Apple Insider. So just click our name, and it will automatically open an email sheet to us. So there you go.
Yeah, and if you can, any email to me, if you could please head it, William, you really want an iPhone 16 Pro Max. That would help me psychologically. We should say before we go on to Apple Insider Plus, there is also HomeKit Insider every Monday, and there's a lot going on with that. IKEA is finally bringing out its matter support thing I've just been hearing about, like for real this time.
Yes.
I'm sure Andrew will be covering that at some point. You know
this
about
Monday. Yeah, so this Monday, as you listen, we're getting more info from IFA conference where a lot of stuff was announced. And I'm not going to be on this week because I'm not going to say the title because I can't remember which guy. It could be the CEO. But we got a Nanoleaf guy, a very important person, Nanoleaf guy. Forget his name as well. I am terrible at this, guys. Sorry. But anyway, Nanoleaf guy will be there to talk on Monday's episode. Tune into that or watch it on YouTube. We also do a video component. So HomeKit Insider is always fun. I'll be back in a couple weeks to dive into nothing that happened with HomeKit during the Apple event.
But in the meantime, basically, Andrew O'Hara got a better offer from some geezer from Nanoleaf. So that's what's happening this Monday. Wes and I will be back next week on the Apple Insider podcast, unless you are an Apple Insider Plus thing, in which case we'll be back in about 10 seconds with Apple Insider Plus. But first, thank you very much for listening. Thank you to our sponsor this week, 1Password. I really like 1Password. I'm glad they're supporting the Apple Insider podcast, and we'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, we'll talk then, and donate to St. Jude. It's Cancer Awareness Month for children. Do it. Talk to y'all then. Bye.